Good morning, students. So, welcome to yet another episode of CEO Interview with CEO. So, today's on a CEO is a CEO whom I respect from the bottom of my heart. He's a small town boy from Bihar who made it big in Bangalore and across the globe. So, today's CEO is Mr. Krishna Kumar, founder and CEO for Simply Learn. Krishna Kumar sir is a serial entrepreneur with over 19 years of experience in information technology. Mr. Krishna Kumar has a successful track record of building new ventures. He imagined the need for constant reskilling and lifelong learning way before it got established as the only way for professional advancement. Simply Learn's humble beginning as a blog to one of the largest global players in professional certification training is a testimony of his vision, grit, and execution. It is his passion for learning and doing things differently that honored him as one of the most influential business leaders. He was awarded the CEO of the Year in 2016 by the CEO magazine and was identified as the Fortune 40 under 40 leader 3 years in a row. He was also part of Economic Times 40 under 40 business leader. Before Simply Learn, he was the co-founder and COO of Tech Unified that got acquired by a public listed company or Informatics Limited in Feb 2007. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Jidis. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to speak with your participants and happy to speak with your students, and I also wish them a great luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I want to. I know that you stood 10th in your board exams, right, in
Yeah,
Bihar when you. Uh,
right.
so I wanted to know, as a student, how was your what tactics did you use to study? I mean, would you have any tips for our students to score better grades?
Yeah, actually, that's a long time back, so
Yeah.
I don't know whether scoring good in exam is really helpful in life or not. I think that's still debatable. But I'll tell you
Okay.
about my schooling days. I think when I was growing up in 80s and early 90s, I think there aren't many options, right? If you wanted to lead a better life, I think education was the only option available in front of us. There was no option of a sports because very
Yep.
limited scope in sports, and was not aware of any other option. In fact, when I was in school, I
Yep.
think there are only two stream to choose. Either you choose in engineering or you choose to be a doctor. There was nothing
Okay.
like called MBA. I never heard of something called MBA when I was growing up. I never heard of MCA. Now there are so
Okay.
many different good options available. So
Okay.
I had natural interest in the studies. I used to love books. So I think
Oh.
for me it was effortless. I don't know about others, but I didn't have to put a lot of effort in doing so because I was naturally attracted to learning new things and reading
Okay.
new books. My father was
Okay.
also a professor, so that made my life easy. I had access to libraries, so I used to get a lot
Oh.
of books and study.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Basically, books, reading books is the secret of probably interest in reading books is the
yeah,
secret
interesting.
of.
And now my father was also a professor, so I had lots and lots of books at home. So
Oh,
it was
fantastic.
kind of the house environment was more like academics oriented. So
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So you made your way from Bihar to where you are now, right? So I want to know, what work ethics, you know, are according to you are important for a student to succeed in his career.
see, I first let me address this whole notion of Bihar. So if you look at people of my age
Yeah.
who grew
Yeah.
up in Bihar, majority
Yeah.
of them are successful. If you just do a scan of all the successful startups in India, you'll be
Yeah.
surprised to know how many of them
Yeah.
led by people who grew up in Bihar. Similarly, if you
Oh.
look at the top engineering and MBA colleges of India, if you just look at a scan of IITs, NITs, IIMs, again you'll be
Yeah.
surprised to know how many people in those institutions are from Bihar. Because in
Hmm.
general, Bihar had limited opportunities, so most of the
Hmm.
parents they really focused on ensuring that their kids focus on education a lot. And obviously, if
Hmm.
you focus on education, most of these institute they only test
Hmm.
your knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's easier to crack, and this is not
Yes.
only true in the field of business, this is also true in the field of government. So again, you'll be
Okay.
surprised to know that most of the senior government officer, even in Karnataka, so people who are like all the senior IAS, IPS officers, majority
Yes.
of them are from Bihar or Eastern UP. So that is an
Okay.
area that has
Uh,
that qualifies roughly 60% plus of government officers in India. So go to any state, you'll see that a lot of them are from that belt, because that is an area from where maximum number of people write the exam and maximum number of people end up being successful also.
Oh, very
So
good.
so
Very
the,
good.
so that is keeping the that is the background. Now when it comes to work ethics, see, one thing that every student should keep this in mind is
Yeah.
that if you want to be successful, this is completely in your hand. Many times people, once they get into a job, they try to focus more on showing what they are doing. So they think
Yeah.
that if they demonstrate that, they will be seen, they will be recognized, and that's how they can become successful. In
Okay.
my experience, that's not necessarily true. See, you
Yeah.
need to be true to yourself. So whenever you get into work, you need to answer this to yourself: that are you adding value to whatever work is given to you? And if
Hmm.
you really start understanding that why is that work being given to you, how important is that work that you are doing in the overall scheme of things, and
Yeah.
you try to put your real focus, I think you'll get noticed. So don't focus so much on demonstrating whether I'm getting recognized or not.
Yep.
Just do the right thing, continue doing a good work. I think
Yep.
sometime somebody will really see that, okay, there is this guy who's really really passionate about his work. He
Yep.
really does work with a lot of passion and interest, and more higher responsibility should be given to him. So the short answer is that be true to yourself. Don't focus on too much on what others think and how others will
Yep.
perceive your work.
Okay.
Do justice to based on what you think is right.
Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. Being sincere in your endeavors.
Yeah,
I get it.
you need to justify yourself. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, sir, now, I mean, I mean, how many employees are currently working at Simply Learn?
Simply Learn is about 1,000 full-time employees, and we have about 2,000 instructors who work with us part-time.
Oh, wow. So, another question that I have is that what does it take to lead large teams and, execute large scale initiatives like the way you have executed?
So, just my first point is that, see, it's not necessarily that to be successful, you must be leading large teams and you must be leading large initiatives. See,
Okay.
this is one way of measuring success. That how big is your
Yeah.
team, how big is your responsibility, and that
Yeah.
requires a separate kind of mindset. But a lot
Okay.
of students or a lot of people in life are successful
Yeah.
by not leading large teams, by not doing large initiative, but by doing something that is very nice, very focused, and something that aligns with your interest. Like for example, let's stay away from engineering and focus on artists. Right, there are artists who
Yeah.
create great artwork. Right, they're so successful. Right,
Yeah.
both financially or fame wise, every people know them, people love them. They don't lead large initiative. That they create something that is unique and something
Okay.
that is valued.
Okay.
Similar thing is true in business also. So there are a lot of roles that are very niche, more like an individual roles, but very well respected. So let's talk about technology. So
Yeah.
technology, there are two tracks. One track is that you can be an engineering leader, you can be
Yeah.
a VP of engineering, you can have hundreds and thousands of people being part of your team. If you're a VP engineering of a large company like Google, you'll have
Yeah.
thousands of team member working for you across the world. Like
Yeah.
in a Simply Learn, the VP engineering has 100-member team, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a very equally important role in technology called technical architect or a principal architect, almost equally paid as VP of engineering. But
Okay.
that's an individual role. Those are the people who really decide what kind of technical architecture can support thousands and millions of users on your website.
Hmm.
So I think this is most of the students I have seen that at least in the last 15 20 years, as soon as they get into a lot of IT companies, and of course in our country most of the IT employers are services company, after
Yes.
2 3 years they have this notion that the only way I can grow is by becoming a project leader, project manager, program manager, and so on. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, if you see people who started doing this 10 years back,
Yeah.
today the people who choose to be more technical are the ones who are successful, more
Exactly.
successful than people who end up becoming becoming manager and try leading large team. So I think that doesn't mean that you can't lead large team. I think if you have an aptitude, if you like people, if you like to be to motivate people, if you like to be surrounded by people,
Yeah.
helping seeing others being successful is something that you enjoy, you should
Yeah.
choose that track.
Yeah.
So the short answer is that you need to identify who you are, what is that you like,
Hmm.
and based on that you decide whether you want to be successful leading large teams, or you want to be successful by doing something that is very niche, very unique, but again very very valued in the market. And there are, see, technical architect is one such example. There are many such roles. Like there's another role called UX,
Yeah.
and when you
User
design your
experience.
mobile app and you design your website, how this website should become so friendly that
Yeah.
people don't have to ask questions, they can just do whatever they want to do without any help. Again, that's
Yes.
that those teams are not big, but they
Yes.
are some of the most highly paid job today in the world.
In the world, I know. I know. User
Yeah,
experience. I know. Sir, the next question I have is that, how do you identify the current and future business requirements? For example, let's say if Simply Learn is launching a new course, okay, how do you arrive at, okay, ये product, ये market में fit होगा?
yeah,
So like that, how do you arrive at those, what criteria do you use to launch a course or
sure.
come up with a business
Sure.
requirement?
So, Jitesh, see, what has to happen that many years back, entrepreneurs used to do this intuitively. They used
Yeah,
to like hear, feel, and then they try to. So what we call gut feeling, that they used to hear,
yes,
see things around, and suddenly they
yes,
realize that no, no, there is a market for this. Let me try this out. So
yes,
that's how this
yeah,
whole field started. But today it is
yes,
a very very established field, and this role
yes,
is called product management. So if you see,
yes,
most companies have a product management team, and that's their job.
yeah,
So what do product managers do? There are variety of things that they do to figure it out, that what is needed in future, and that is
yeah,
based on, and there are a lot of very very commonsensical things. Like for example, let's say Simply Learn, if I have to launch a new product, what can I do?
yeah,
Easiest thing for me is to go and talk to my previous customer, that look, I see that you have done these courses, what other course might be
yeah,
in your wish list. If you ask this
yeah,
question to one person, you might get a biased answer. But if you ask the same question to 1,000 people, and let's say majority of the 1,000 say that no, no, I am looking for something like this, that means there is a market for that. So that's one kind of check that you can do with your own
okay,
customers. Then you can go on the internet. Like there are a lot of
yeah,
places, social networking sites, and a lot of other places where a lot of people are writing about their wish, their needs, and so on. You can gather some data there. Another very good source of gathering data is search trends.
yeah,
So Google gives you a lot of search trends. You can put a query, and they can give you a lot of data around whether those queries are increasing or decreasing. So these are
yeah,
few things that product managers use. Of course, at the end of the day, they also use their intelligence to make sense of multiple data points that gather. But this role is called product management. Now,
yeah,
anybody who wants to become product management, there is a path. Maybe you start as a business analyst
yeah,
and eventually become a product manager. And again, product management is also a very very sought after role. Again,
yeah,
the reason is that traditionally India was not a product market, so we always used to import things,
yeah,
and only thing that we started exporting was services.
services, yeah,
So somebody else will tell us what to do, and we'll just get it done. Now in the last 10 years it has changed. Now a lot of product companies are coming out of India, and because of that we have started understanding product field. Another good thing that happened to India is that a lot of people who did very good in outside India, like primarily in Bay Area and US, because of
yeah,
family reasons they wanted to relocate back to India. And when
yeah,
they came back to India, they also came back with a lot of know-how. And
yeah,
that's how product management is a pretty established field now. Still there's a lot of demand supply gap, but
yeah,
I think in another few years it will become as prevalent as project management.
very good, very good. Sir, now, COVID, what has been COVID's impact on your business?
See, in our business, the short answer is that impact is very minimal, because anyway, it's a completely online service, and people have a lot of time. People are not going to shopping malls, they're not going for outing, they're not going for
Yeah,
any eating out and so on. So they have more time to spend online. So
mm-hmm.
some people are using that time to take up courses, and that is reflecting in a lot of demand that we are seeing from our users. Majority of them are coming and trying our free courses, which is a
Okay,
very good thing. So we have a mobile app and Android app to be in particular, where most
yeah,
of our courses are free to a large extent. You can get started from there, and then you
yeah,
can migrate to paid version. But this free version also is good enough to a large extent. So anybody who's looking to get started, I think I suggest that download Simply Learn mobile app and get
okay,
started with that.
okay,
So right now we see a lot of demand, but I'm sure there is a section of people who are also concerned that what will happen to their jobs. Will they
okay,
get laid off? So should they be careful in spending? So there is a
yeah,
mix and match of both kinds of feeling. But net net, I can say that we have not seen. If I have to say what kind, did we see a positive impact or a negative impact? I'll say that if everything put together, we are on the positive side of COVID,
okay,
when it comes to business. Of course, personally, all we are
mm,
all like really really uh, fed up, if I have to say, staying at
I
home.
know,
Yeah,
sitting. I
yeah,
know, I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I know. Sir, another question that I have is that what kind of courses are? I mean, you mentioned that you can download the Simply Learn app. So, what courses would you recommend to my computer science engineering students that they
So,
should learn?
I think if I have to just suggest one or two courses, I definitely suggest that do something related to data science, machine learning, cyber
Okay,
security. These are the
okay,
areas where we'll see a lot of demand.
okay, okay. Data science, machine learning, cyber security.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I will definitely. I'm sure my students who are listening to this will definitely take note of it. Sir, another area that I wanted to ask was, what according to you is business acumen?
Okay. So see, that's a good term. I think it means different things to different people. But
Yep.
I think if I have to define what is business acumen or business sense, is
Yep.
trying to understand. Let's go a step back and try to answer that. When you do business, somebody pays you money to buy your product or service.
Yep.
Okay, is
Yep.
that person or a company buying from your company by doing you a favor? The short answer is no. They are
Yep.
buying your product or service because they can make use of it and provide some other value to their customers.
Yes.
So business acumen is all about understanding the big picture, that if
Yep.
you are doing something, why are you doing,
Yep.
how it is impacting your stakeholders,
Yep.
and how important is your work in the larger scheme of things. Many times I've seen the people who come to companies,
Mm.
they get to understand their part of the work, and they are just very happy doing what they are supposed to do, with very little interest in understanding that how is this work impacting the big picture.
Mm.
So business sense is trying to understand. Acumen is all about understanding the overall cycle, that I am doing X, my colleague
Yep.
is doing Y, somebody else is doing Z. How this X, Y, and Z are combining together to give value to someone who's ready to
Yep.
pay for it, and why is
Yep.
that guy paying? What in turn he's doing with this outcome? So
Yes.
anybody who tries to put all the pieces together in future
I,
ends up developing a business acumen. So this is one part. Another part is that read a lot of articles, books. Nowadays information is available in access, right? A
yes.
lot of good information is available in different shapes and form, mostly free.
Yes.
So good reading combined with this questioning attitude on why I'm doing and how it is impacting the overall scheme of things helps build the business acumen.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Sir, so you have been in the edtech industry for a while now. So what is unique about your industry?
See, first, the most unique about our industry is that it's a very, very young industry. If you
Yes.
go 10 years back, nobody was even talking about lifelong learning and skilling. The expectation was that you come out of a good engineering college like Amrita, you get
Yeah.
into a company takes care of you. You keep
Yep.
getting project, you keep learning as you work on project, and then your
Yep.
life will move in a certain direction.
Yes.
What has happened that we have now realized that in future this will not be the case. In future your learning and earning will go hand by hand. So
Yep.
while you are learning, you are also earning, and you're learning again to maybe either increase your earning, or even if I have to say that just to maintain your earning also you need to continue learning, because if you don't keep yourself updated, most likely
Yep.
you'll get outdated, and your job will go away, somebody else will come and take away your job. So this
Yes.
is a
Yes.
new behavior. Like, not
Yep.
everybody is still accepting that this is a fact. If I don't
Yes.
learn, I'll lose my job. So
Yes.
we are living in a world wherein this is still becoming part of our life. Maybe 10 years down the line it will become settled in everyone's mind. So when you talk to like a similar example is insurance. Say when
Yep.
we were growing up, my parents never had insurance, right? They
Yep.
never
Yep.
believed that is something called insurance you should buy.
Yeah.
But now I don't think there is anyone who does not have insurance. People buy insurance. They think that this is a mandatory expense. I can't live without insurance.
Exactly.
Something similar will happen to this industry also, wherein people will say, I don't care whether I have a car or a house or not. What
Yep.
is that I'm continuously learning so that I'm always in demand, I'm always employable. That will become a default behavior. So we
Yes.
are working in building that default behavior, and it's taking some time. It's a very, very new phenomena, new industry.
Okay. Sir, is there any correlation that you've noticed between your industry and some other industry? That is interesting.
I think that this is related to all this. If any industry which is doing well, this is again related to our industry, because a lot of people. I look at what happened to data. Like suddenly you see that data science word became a common word, right?
Yes.
This was
Yes.
not in exist. This word was not used just as low as 3 years back. 3 years back,
Yes.
I never heard anyone using this word called data science, data scientist. So,
Yes.
but suddenly people realize that so much data is being created. If I'm not making sense using the data to make business decision, what
Yes.
good is that data? And
Correct.
then it created a role called data scientist. The moment the data
Yes.
scientist role got created, people also get to know that, oh, these are the high paying jobs. Like for example, data scientists get paid 1 crore and ever very easily across companies, right? So
Hmm.
that also drives a lot of behavior among young professionals that, okay, I want to start my career in data so that eventually I get to become data scientist few years down the road. So everything is related. Any
Yep.
industry that does well, I think skilling becomes important. A lot of people want to learn, and this is that it is happening for the first time. If you go 20 years back,
Yep.
you might remember there are a lot of NIT and aptech centers.
Yes. Yes.
What were they
Yes.
doing? They're becoming fitting ground for companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, who are growing very, very rapidly, and they wanted people who can start with the entry level programming work.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
skilling is not an independent industry. So it's always dependent upon industries which are doing well.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. So any industry that does well, definitely this industry will feed into that. I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
I get it. I get it. Sir, we also have in our campus, Bangalore campus, an MBA program,
yeah.
which is actually a dual degree program, and it is so the one degree the student would get is from the Amrita University.
Okay,
The other degree they would get is from the State University of New York, Buffalo.
okay,
Okay, so dual degree program. So the
okay,
other degree is MS in Business Analytics.
okay.
Okay, now when I look at analytics as a discipline, where do you see a student should upskill himself in analytics?
It's an amazing. First of all, I think those students who are doing this course, I think you are in a very good place because
Yeah, yeah,
analytics is a great area. I think that's a starting path to get into to become a data scientist eventually.
yep,
And a lot of things you can learn, right? Like for example, there are course, so there are various aspects. There are conceptual aspects on what data business analyst is. How do you identify business problem? How do you look at the business problem from data perspective? And there are a lot of tools aspect, right? How do you use different tools to model your data? Like, so there are popular tools like Tableau, Power BI, but I think those are easier to learn. Tool is easy to learn, like you spend a couple of months and you can become an expert in the tool. The bigger item to learn is that how to do business analysis, how to look data, so that it shows you a problem that you don't even know that it's a problem. Let me give you an example. So one of my friend, he joined as a data scientist, one of the largest telecom companies in India. Okay, and within a week, when he started analyzing the problem, he realized that a lot of customers of the telecom company, thousands and thousands of customers, they call the call center for a dispute of 50 rupees or below. So let's say they did a recharge of 100 rupees, they only got say 75 rupees, and they wanted to know why this 25 rupees was cut. So most of the dispute was related to 50 rupees or below kind of problem. They wanted 50 rupees more worth of talk time, but because of something they were not getting that kind of talk time. And he also analyzed that for the telecom company, it used to take 75 rupees to handle one call. So one of the decision he recommended to the company that anybody who calls them for any
yep,
dispute that is 50 rupees or below, in fact
yep,
75 rupees or below, we should not
yep.
ask question and just simply credit them, because anyway we are spending 75 rupees in just handling that query. If you look at the
Oh,
per hour call and all that, so no,
okay,
nobody realized that this was a problem. But data shows that if you are spending 75 rupees to settle a 50 rupees dispute, you are as good as just giving that dispute, because at the end of the day you will save 25 rupees. So,
exactly.
so these are the problems that so this kind of the obvious thing only data can make you. If the data says that yes, it's now now look at from the business leader perspective, he will think
Yep,
this as a no brainer. That
yes, yes.
so
But
this
it
exactly
takes
is what a business analyst and data scientists are expected to do.
exactly. It takes effort to dig out this
Yeah,
insight. Basically,
yeah.
yeah, I
And
get
now
it.
once data speaks, there is no bias, right? You can't say that it is wrong. The data
Exactly.
shows that this is your actual spend, this is your actual dispute. So just marry them together and make the decision making simple.
I remember this quote from Narayana Murthy, Infosys founder, that I in God we trust, rest all show data.
Right. Right.
So again, so sir, what are the again, this is about keeping a macro level view of the industry. the edtech industry. So how do you keep a macro level view of the industry? Like, do you track any key numbers, metrics? Do you have any thumb rules or heuristics that you track to check how your industry is doing and how is Simply Learned contributing to the macro level picture of the industry?
So, Julius, this is something that all businesses do, not only in edtech. I think one of the easiest
Yeah,
way to track how
yeah,
well are you doing is keeping a track on competition. So, I'm sure
yeah,
people
yeah,
learn a lot from their competition. So, we always keep a
yeah,
track on what is happening on search keywords.
yeah,
Like, let's talk about again data science as an example. So, if
yeah,
you look at data science training as a keyword, it's you can get it data from Google that if there are, let's say, 1,000 searches on this keyword from in Bangalore every day, how
yeah,
many of those keywords are resulting into a traffic on SimplyLearn platform
yeah.
versus how many of them are going to my competition platform. So these are some of the metrics that we look at to see how well are we doing compared to our competition.
Okay, okay,
How
makes
many
sense.
students are inquiring, how many prospective professionals are inquiring from us, how many of them are not end
Mm,
up buying from us. If they're not buying from us, maybe they are buying from some other platform. So if you're
yeah,
losing them, why are we losing them? What is that they're liking about competition that they don't like about us? So we keep doing this kind of things. I think again this is also done by our product team. They keep monitoring this data day in and day
okay,
out. So for
right,
different kind of different part of the business, there are different metrics. Like for example, this is on the one we are only talking about how do we get customers. I think for us, I'll not say equally, even more important is that the students who are signing up with SimplyLearn, are they getting the required benefit or not? Are they end up understanding the course or not? Are they in a position to go and apply the learnings that they had in the course by doing projects on the platform or not? So those are also very important metrics that we track on students who have enrolled. How many of them are completing the course? How many of them are submitting projects that we are creating and
yeah,
calling those projects as a good projects?
okay, very good. So that is a good metric to check. Okay, makes sense. Um, Again, sir, what do you do as part of strategic planning? And for a student, I mean, he's an entry level guy. I mean, this is a question that came from an MBA student. He wants to know how a student can get better at strategic planning.
Yeah. So, Jiras, my first of all, I want to clarify is that there's nothing called a strategic planning. Right?
Okay,
I think this is a word that I don't know why a lot of people want to make something that
mm,
is simple sound complex. See,
okay,
first you decide a strategy. Strategy means if you're
yeah,
in a company and you want to grow, and I'm sure
yeah,
every company wants to grow. Nobody does business not to grow.
yeah, yeah,
There are various options. You can choose a path A, you can choose
yeah,
path B, and you can choose
yeah,
path C. There
yeah,
are chances that all this path can lead to growth.
yeah,
Now, the management team of the company, based on various parameters, they decide to
yeah,
take one path because you can't go on all the three paths together. Every
yeah,
company has limited resources; they can't do everything at the same time. So they have to make a informed decision that out
yeah,
of these three options that I have in front of
yeah,
me, I can take option A. That
yeah,
sounds most logical to me. That's called a strategy. That
yeah,
you first analyze all the different options that you have, and
yeah,
out of all the different options, looking at your
yeah,
company's strength, looking at how much resources you have to spend, you choose
yeah,
a certain path. So that is your strategy that you decided this
yeah,
is what I want to do to grow. Now, once
yeah,
you have decided the strategy, then you plan how do I go and implement that strategy. So that is planning. That's a simple
yeah,
plan. So there's nothing called a strategic plan. It's just
very
planning. That once you have
good.
decided your strategy, you go
Yeah,
ahead and plan how can you go and execute that plan. Now, as a student, if you want to go in becoming planning, I think it goes back to the previous question of what is business acumen and how do you build business acumen.
yeah,
You need to have
yeah,
a bigger picture that if you're doing something, why are you doing something? Like who is going to get eventually benefited? Let's look at example of it. Taxi. What is my Simply Learn business? We offer skilling courses. Okay,
yeah,
so if anybody takes up our skilling course, we make money.
yeah,
Now, why is somebody else giving us money? Because the
yeah,
person who is taking a skilling course, he
yeah,
in turn is expecting that if I learn this skill, I will
yeah,
start making more money than what I'm currently making. I can grow faster in my career.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so this is all related. And why the company who is hiring him and paying him more money? Because they know that the future is in this new technologies. If I hire more people who know the latest technology, as a company will be more productive.
yeah,
So everything is related. So you need to have a fair understanding of the entire ecosystem. That why are customers coming to you? What is the benefit they are getting, and
yeah,
what does that benefit gives to them? So if you
yeah,
map
yeah.
this entire thing, you can be in a better position to decide your strategy.
Very good.
and take a call. Another aspect of deciding a strategy is closely monitoring what is working for competition. Like many times you get to learn a lot from competition, because some you let's like I talked about this three paths like A B C. Let's say
Yeah,
you went on the path A and you got
yeah,
some success, but maybe your
yeah,
competition went on path C and they
yeah,
got maybe 10x more success than you. So what
yeah,
do? You course correct, saying that, oh,
yeah,
I did, even though I selected path A and that appeared to be the right thing for me to do, but looks
yeah,
like I was wrong. My
yeah.
competition took path C and they got more success. So you just course correct and again switch back to doing what they are doing, so that you can learn quickly from them and expedite your journey in that direction.
Fantastic. I think that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, Again, this is the last question. Um, would you be able to recommend few books that has inspired you that you feel you would recommend to the students?
Yeah, I think if I have to recommend two books, I'll recommend
Yes.
one is the book that I'll recommend by Jim Collins. It's called Good to Great. So what he has done, he has analyzed a lot of companies who are
Yep.
good companies, but they
Yep.
didn't become great companies.
Yep.
Okay, and he defines
Yep.
what he thinks is the difference between a good company and a great company, and then he talks about all the parameters that takes that makes company good. One of the
Yep.
very important observation that he has is that um good is the enemy of great.
Okay.
Many times you don't become great company because you are a good company, and you don't want to become a great company by deliberately, by unconsciously not doing things that you should have done. So it's a very good analysis, and I think you guys can learn a lot as a student on how what makes some of the companies very very successful and successful for a long period of time. So that one book is a good book to study, and
Yep.
it talks. And this book is was written in early 2000, so it
Yep.
mostly gives example of companies in 90s, and most of the companies are still there. So it's a good read.
Yep.
Another
Good
book that
read.
I'll recommend is a book called The Hardest Things About Hard Things. This is written by a person by name Ben Horowitz. So Ben
Yeah.
is a very very successful entrepreneur, as well as
Yep.
a very very popular VC. He runs a fund
Yep.
also called Ben Horowitz fund in US, which is very very popular. Right? So in that he
Yeah.
talks about his experience of running a business and what was going on in his mind, how he took some of the toughest decisions. Like for example,
Okay.
let's say three of you start a business. Three
Yep.
of you who are currently classmates start a business. Your business goes to a certain scale,
Yep.
and then you realize that one of the three guys that who started as a founder is not good enough for the next leg of journey. So somebody who can take a company from 1 to 10 need not necessarily take the company from 10 to 100. So
Okay.
in US it is very common that promoters who or the founders who start the company, at some point of time they move out and
Yep.
professionals take over the company to grow it at a much bigger scale. You can look
Yes.
at companies. It has happened in
Yep.
many companies that
Yep.
we all track. Okay, so
Yep.
let's say
Yep.
three of you start as a company, and two of you agree that the third guy who was kind of your co-founder
Yep.
is not good enough.
Yep.
So what do you do? How do you
Mm.
fire him?
Mm.
So he talks about a lot of such dilemmas that he went through and how he
Okay.
overcome them. So again, a very very interesting read, written in a language that is very easily understandable. So it's a very good book that your students will enjoy reading.
Definitely, sir. I will definitely mention this to them. And I think we have this in our library. Both these books are available in our
Okay, good.
library. I'm sure now there'll be a lot of demand for those books once the college reopens, I'm
Okay.
sure, or they might purchase. Krishna, sir, I have to thank you. Heartfelt thanks for spending this time with us. I really appreciate you, spending this time and advising our students on the various questions that they had asked. Um, Heartfelt thanks, sir. We'll definitely connect when Amma comes to Bangalore. We'll definitely invite you, and we'll definitely connect, sir.
Thank you, Jitesh. Thank you for inviting, and I'm wishing you all the best to your students.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.